Welcome, Chantelle.
My name is Chantelle Diachina. I'm French, Canadian, Irish, Czech, First Nations, and Jamaican. Now obviously, my Jamaican background is the most pronounced, and because of that, I have been given some interesting human experiences I'd like to share with you. I'll start by putting things in perspective. In 1963, Martin Luther King had his famous I Have a Dream speech. 10 years later, I was born. Now at that time, a white woman having a black man's baby wasn't widely accepted. And against her doctor's wishes, my mother did not abort me, she decided to keep me. With a lot of concern, how would this baby make it in the world? And when I asked her about how she overcame that, she said, I knew I just had to love you. Now to add another layer of complexity to my story, I was raised by my mother and my white stepfather. I didn't meet my biological father until I was 19. We didn't have a problem with that, but some people did. Some people thought I was raised white. I say I was raised without a racial identity. So I'd always get the, are you adopted? And sometimes my parents would be asked, well, how far back was there a black person? And then my mom would just smile and say, 3 generations, haha. Now, the funny thing is that to me it didn't matter. I mean, I just thought I was born with dark skin. I literally had to be told that my dad wasn't my dad. And when I was told at the age of 8, I was devastated. And the only thing I could ask was, can I still call him Dad? And will he still love me? The impact of that conversation didn't happen until I was an adolescent. And it was at that time that I'd already been called nigger, spook, spear chucker, and I was starting to realize that apparently the color of my skin was important to society, so maybe I should think that way too. So the United States was the major influence to my story, and we all are familiar with that story. But I actually experienced it firsthand. I moved across there, did my undergrad studies, and I realized that I didn't have a choice in my story, because in the United States you're either black or you're white. There is no in between. And so, obviously, my color dictated what side I was on, which meant I didn't have a choice. And so the whites and the blacks had all these expectations about how I should act, how I should talk, what kind of attitude I should have. And so I adopted it. And if that wasn't bad enough, then I was there in '92 when Rodney King got beat down, and I'll tell you, the divisions between the black and white was just so strong that there was no mistaking what side you were put on. Now, if that wasn't bad enough, within the black culture there's a hierarchy between the light skins and the dark skins, and that just goes back to historically, because light skins were always treated better than dark skins. So here I am, trying to figure it out. Back in 2000, I came back to Canada, and I had to unlearn a whole lot. But it was going to Toronto, to Montreal. I made a trip to Jamaica, and I had to remember that there were other stories out there about race. And by the time I moved to Brampton with my husband, for the first time I felt comfortable in my own skin again. And then I moved to London, Ontario. When I was supply teaching, I had students come up to me in literally Wortley Village. A student came up to me and said, I've never seen a brown person before. And it was so innocent, though. It was innocent. And I was very grateful that she said that. But then my 4-year-old came home from JK one year, and she said, one day, and she said, Mom, a boy told me his dad said he can't marry brown people. No, that's not innocence, it's learned resistance. In London, we have an opportunity. I love London. And I think that we have an emerging community here that's diverse, that we're ignoring. And so I think we need to acknowledge that we have a lack of experience, our innocence. We need to analyze our old stories, our learned resistance, seek and collect new understanding, and make up new stories. Because that's all they are, our stories. And we have to be careful about the stories that we tell and the ones that we listen to. Because no matter what, we create them. And I'm telling you right now, any story that divides humanity is bullshit. So don't believe it and don't spread it. We're all human. And that's what I tell my babies. And by the way, my mom was right. The answer is love.